Welcome back. Today we're diving into another fascinating piece of U.S. coinage history, exploring the details, design, and background that make old coins like the half dollar such a special collectible for both beginners and experienced collectors. Let's get started first up. The United States half-dollar coin of 1972 belongs to the Kennedy half-dollar series, a coin that has been issued since 1964 to honor President John F. Kennedy after his tragic assassination. By 1972, regular circulation half-dollars were no longer made of silver, but instead of copper-nickel clad over a pure copper core, with a weight of 11.34 grams and a diameter of 30.6 millimeters. The obverse of the coin carries the famous portrait of President Kennedy designed by Gilroy Roberts, showing his profile facing left with the word Liberty around the top, the motto "I in God we trust" below, and the date 1972 at the bottom. On the reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, is the United States presidential seal, an eagle with spread wings holding arrows and an olive branch, encircled by 50 stars with United States of America and half-dollar around the edge. These coins were struck at the Philadelphia, no mint mark, and Denver, D, mints for circulation, and at the San Francisco Mint, S, as proof coins, some of which were issued in a 40% silver composition for collectors. In old circulated condition, the 1972 Kennedy half-dollar is very common because tens of millions were minted, so most worn examples are only worth face value of 50 cents, though they still hold interest for historical and nostalgic reasons. Collectors usually look for uncirculated coins or proof strikes with strong detail and luster, but circulated pieces often show flattening of Kennedy's hair, smoothness on the cheek, and weakness in the eagle's wings from years of handling. While not a rare or valuable coin in old condition, the 1972 half-dollar remains a recognizable piece of American coinage and an accessible way to connect with the history of U.S. currency. The 1973 United States half-dollar, often called the Kennedy half-dollar, is a coin that carries both historical and collectible interest, even in old circulated condition. This coin was minted at Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, but unlike many other years, the 1973 Kennedy half-dollar was not released for general circulation, making it a bit special in the series. Instead, these coins were only available in official mint sets and proof sets, which means that any examples found in old, worn condition usually come from sets that were broken up and spent later on. The obverse design features the portrait of President John F. Kennedy, created by Gilroy Roberts, while the reverse by Frank Gasparo shows the presidential seal with a detailed eagle holding arrows and an olive branch. The Philadelphia coins carry no mint mark. The Denver issues are marked with a D, and San Francisco produced proof versions, both in copper-nickel clad and in limited 40% silver compositions marked with an S. In old or worn condition, a regular 1973 half-dollar usually has little more than face value because of its commonness and clad metal content, but collectors still appreciate it as part of the early post-1964 Kennedy series. The proof and silver issues, however, are more desirable, with the silver proofs especially holding more collector value, even when lightly handled. While not considered rare in circulated grades, the 1973 half-dollar stands out historically because of its unusual release method, and because it reminds collectors of a period when Kennedy half-dollars were becoming less commonly used in daily commerce. Thus, even in old condition, it remains a meaningful piece of American numismatic history, bridging the gap between circulation demand and collector-focused mint production. The United States half-dollar coin from 1985 is a very fascinating piece of American numismatic history, even though at first glance it may appear to be just another circulating coin. The 1985 half-dollar belongs to the Kennedy half-dollar series, which began in 1964 to honor President John F. Kennedy after his assassination in November 1963. By 1985, the coin had already been in production for over 2 decades, and it carried both historical symbolism and a place in American everyday commerce. In terms of design, the obverse, front, of the coin features the left-facing portrait of President Kennedy, created by Chief Engraver Gilroy Roberts. This depiction is highly detailed, showing Kennedy's hair and profile with a bold and strong presence, reflecting the spirit of a youthful and dynamic leader. Above the head runs the word liberty, while the motto "I in God we trust" is divided, within God appearing on the left of Kennedy's neck and "We trust" on the right. The year 1985 is struck boldly at the bottom. The reverse, back, of the coin, designed by Frank Gasparo, shows the presidential seal, with an eagle holding arrows and an olive branch in its talons, a shield on its chest, and a ribbon in its beak inscribed with E pluribus unum, symbolizing out of many, one. Surrounding the eagle are 50 stars representing the states, along with the inscriptions United States of America and $50. In terms of composition, the 1985 Kennedy $50 was minted in copper-nickel clad, outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This change from 90% silver, which had been used in the 1964 issue, occurred in 1971, as silver became too valuable for circulating coinage. Therefore, the 1985 $50 contains no silver unless struck as a special collector proof in silver, which was not issued in 1985. Only clad proofs were made that year. The diameter of the coin is 30.6 millimeters, with a weight of 11.34 grams and a reeded edge, giving it a substantial feel compared to smaller denominations. For minting, the 1985 Kennedy $50 was struck at two primary mints for circulation: Philadelphia, no mint mark, and Denver, D-mint mark. Philadelphia coins carry no mint mark, while Denver coins can be identified with a small d located just above the date on the obverse. In addition, San Francisco, S mint mark, struck proof coins in 1985, but these were intended for collectors and sold in proof sets rather than released into circulation. The proof coins feature highly polished dies and mirror-like surfaces, sometimes with frosted cameo designs, making them far more visually appealing than circulation strikes. Now, when we talk about old condition coins, the 1985 $50 can vary widely in appearance depending on how it was used and preserved. Many circulation coins from this period are heavily worn, as the $50 did not see as much daily use in commerce by the mid-1980s, but it still circulated to some degree. Worn examples might have flat details in Kennedy's hair, worn lettering, and smooth surfaces on the eagle, reducing their collector appeal. Such circulated coins typically carry only face value, meaning 50 cents. However, coins in better old condition, such as lightly circulated or about uncirculated pieces, might attract small collector interest if they show good detail and limited wear, often being sold for around $1. Higher-grade uncirculated examples, those never used in circulation but stored away, may be worth between $2 and $5 depending on the mint mark and eye appeal. Proof coins from San Francisco, even though not silver, often hold higher collector value, ranging from $3 to $10 depending on their condition and whether they display deep cameo contrast. In the broader historical and economic context, the 1985 $50 represents a period when the denomination was no longer a common coin in American pockets. While the Kennedy half was initially very popular in the 1960s, by the 1980s it was more commonly seen in banks, casinos, and collector circles rather than in day-to-day transactions. This makes old circulated 1985 $50 nostalgic artifacts of a fading coinage tradition. Collectors value them not for rarity, since millions were produced, but for their place in the continuing Kennedy $50 series, which is one of the most collected U.S. coin series due to the historical significance of President Kennedy and the beauty of the design. So, in conclusion, the 1985 United States $50 coin in old condition tells the story of a coin series that carried great national symbolism, but by that time was already slipping out of common use. It is a clad coin with no silver, produced at Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, featuring the famous Kennedy portrait and the presidential seal. While heavily circulated examples have only face value, nicer preserved pieces or proofs carry small numismatic premiums, and in high grades or special cameo proofs, they can become desirable collector's items. Whether kept as pocket change from decades past or as part of a full Kennedy set, the 1985 $50 remains a small but meaningful reminder of America's history, its coinage traditions, and the enduring memory of John F. Kennedy.